Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a minute and I wanted to update you on our garden. I've been meaning to do this for a while and it's just been busy. We went up north this weekend and seen some family and spent some time relaxing up there. So now I feel like I have a minute tonight to give you a little bit of a garden tour, a garden update, even though we've already ripped out part of our summer garden and have started our fall garden. I wanted to kind of update you on how we felt things went and maybe talk about things I wouldn't ever do again. Where do we start? So potatoes have been taken out. They've done really well. We've actually replanted potatoes for a second round to see how they do. We did them a little bit differently this time in the fact that we've basically planted them in mounds of straw. And you can kind of tell, and we need to mound them up a little bit more, but I think are already seeing a better turnout in mounding than just planting them in the ground and mulching them once and leaving it. So that's doing really well. And then the tomatoes also are doing phenomenal, way better than I expected. There's a couple rows that we did not end up trellising because honestly we ran out of time and fencing, and I just let them go. So they're like a little tomato jungle over there. I'll show you that in a minute. All the tomatoes, as you can see behind me, that were trellised are doing really well. These ones for some reason just didn't do very great towards the heat, like the heat of the summer. They kind of started dying off. So I don't know, they're still producing. There's red tomatoes on them, but they look terrible. This row also wasn't the best of our starters. They were just like bonuses that we had extra of. So we threw them in to see what would happen. But they're doing really quite well. Cucumbers are doing great. Half of them are pulled out already. Our zucchini plants are pulled out already. Pumpkins have started. I'm not sure if those will actually finish in time. I think we might have waited too long for those to be done by Halloween, but we'll see. One thing I'll never do again is not trellis our cucumbers. That was probably the most frustrating thing to harvest this year, was cucumbers, trying to dig through the patch of overgrown, prickly plants. I'll show you that in a minute. Some of them did end up climbing all the way over here. And they found the tomato trellis. So, like that. It's a nice little surprise when we were picking tomatoes. And then we've already started putting our fall garden in. So it looks a little sad right now because while we were up north, we got just over 2 inches of rain in one day. So I'm not sure that any of the things that haven't sprouted yet will even make it. We'll probably have to replant like lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower. That stuff hadn't germinated yet. So we'll see if that makes it. If not, we'll replant it this week. Beans actually don't look as bad as I thought. We have 6 rows of those. And so far it looks like every single bean germinated and is probably close to 2 inches tall. So they seem to have done well. I'm excited about it. We'll see how they do, if we can get a whole nother round in to put up before winter. We didn't end up putting up any of other beans that we had that we put in earlier in the year. We just ate them fresh. And really it was only like 30 plants, which for our family is not very much. So even though I didn't like picking the cucumbers with them growing on the ground, they turned out really well. We have put up probably, I'm not even sure, maybe close to 100 pounds of cucumbers, all into pickles in the last probably 3 weeks. It's gone crazy, and it feels like it goes fast. Like it goes from not having anything and all flowers to having so much you don't know what to do with, and then all the leaves start dying. So as much as I hated picking through here, they did really well even though they were grown on the ground. You can totally do it, especially if you're only doing a couple. It's fine. However, we did about 30, and picking through all of them isn't the greatest. So this is what they look like right now. This is all cucumbers. Some of it's been ripped out. They did really well though. they're gonna end up getting ripped out the rest of the way in the next couple of days. We're just gonna take whatever's on there. Maybe some of the baby ones will turn into like snack refrigerator pickles or something. So yeah, I am not upset about it. One thing that never changes around here is being interrupted by kids. So we might have to just keep dealing with that. The other new exciting thing that's not garden related that will interrupt me this entire video is that little surprise. Big surprise. He's not a little surprise. He's a big one. That's Wrangler. He's our new, I don't know, he's a family pet. He's gonna be an outdoor farm dog. Hopefully alert us. He's a good little outdoor dog. Alert us if we have any coons, or I think he'll probably help with the hawk situation around here. We have a lot of hawks, and I think he'll help with that. Now we have a dog walking down the street. Stay. Wrangler, leave it. Stay. Good boy. Anyway, they're turned around before our driveway. So yeah, we're excited. He's a friend of ours. They've had him for forever. I wanted him really bad when he was a puppy. They wouldn't give him up. And now they have a number of other dogs. They don't really do a whole lot with him. He really enjoys kids. I finally convinced Nick to give it a shot. So it's kind of trial period, but I have a feeling it's going to work out. He's already made friends with the chickens. He was just napping and they were scratching all around him. So I'm excited, but we have to do a little bit of training to keep him nearby because he's used to quite a bit more land than we have here, and we have a really busy road. So that will be an interruption for a while. So other than cucumbers, pumpkins are doing great. There's no fruit on them yet. There's a lot of flowers though, and with all that rain we got over the weekend, it feels like they've gotten really big. So I'm excited to see if they do. I know pumpkins can happen really fast, so I'm excited to see if they do come on in time for fall. And then back here we ended up with one of our honey nut squashes actually turning out. We've not done these before, but they seem to be starting to ripen. So I know that's like a natural layer they put on for bugs. They seem to be starting to ripen. I know they take quite a while, so I'm probably just gonna be patient. I think they're supposed to be personal size. We'll see how it goes. We're not usually a huge squash people, but we'll see what happens. The kids are out now again. We also tried our hand this year at some flowers. I knew sunflowers were gonna do fine here. Sunflowers love, I feel like everybody who grows them does fine, but they really enjoy Michigan weather. We still have some that are like, I mean, they look like close to 10 foot tall, way up there, that haven't even opened yet. So I'm excited. Next year we're gonna do this a little bit differently. I probably wouldn't grow them right in the center again. They're nice to look at, but I think I'd prefer if they were like along the back side and maybe along this side over here, and just kind of on the outside. And then we did like zinnias and African daisies, which didn't work out very well. I think because of the weeds, I didn't really take care of them. So we'll probably do more flowers next year, but maybe not right in rows like we did with the vegetables. So these are the tomatoes that we didn't trellis, that I let go kind of into a jungle. They definitely just grow together along the ground. They're not pretty to look at. I've let the weeds come up through the holes ridiculously. Some of them are really being taken over by ants, and we have to pick them earlier than we do our trellis tomatoes, just because the ants get to them as soon as they're ripe. So we pick them when they're a little bit early, and then just let them ripen on our porch. They've also kind of taken over the pepper plants that we have right here. I did go through a couple times. Wrangler, lay down. Stay here. I did go through a couple times and trim these tomato plants right off because I really wasn't I really didn't care about them. If they turned out, they turned out. If they didn't, I wasn't worried about it because we have so many tomatoes as it is. I'm really more worried about the peppers turning out. These were some of the more fun peppers that we had. So I wanted to make sure that they really did have the space to grow. They didn't towards the end, but that just is what it is. Definitely wouldn't suggest not. So this is how terrible, these are peppers here, but this is how terrible those tomatoes look. They're a pain to pick. They're growing on the ground. The suckers went crazy. I let them go. It works. Clearly it works. You can see red tomatoes, but not ideal. The peppers have turned out really great. Some of them stayed a little bit on the small side, but they have, like, that's a mini bell pepper plant, so they're ripening off. They're doing okay. We've got some massive, I think Nick just picked one, so it's not out here anymore. We've got some massive bell peppers. Just beautiful. Like, could probably not find them in the grocery store. They're huge. They're so pretty. Cayennes have done really well this year. Really everything pepper-wise turned out better than we expected, so that's really nice. And then the tomatoes, let's see. The tomatoes trellised fine. Again, I wouldn't necessarily use, like I mentioned before, this fencing again. It's quite old. It was really cost effective this year and it did the job. But it's definitely not ideal with how close they were. Some of them we ran 2 plants on 1 trellis. Just not ideal. But the tomatoes turned out really great. I'm gonna pick this one here a minute. It's just proof that, like, you don't have to have the perfect setup to produce really great produce. And I do plan to keep track of how much we do put up this year, just so we can kind of compare and see how much money we've saved and all of that. Again, wouldn't really do the Florida weave situation. It's working. There's really great tomatoes on the plants. It's a mess. Not my favorite. We were able to pick up some cattle panels from friends of ours, actually the same friends who used to own Wrangler, who had them sitting on their property and weren't using them, so they allowed us to pull those out, and we will be using those next year for trellising, which I'm really excited about. And that's definitely going to make a difference. The last thing I 100% will do every single year is this fence. As much as it is a pain to turn off if you're in here with the kids, or you forget it's on and you bend over and touch it, it has saved our garden, I'm sure 100 times over again, from the rabbits, hands down, and the raccoons. Last year we had raccoon issues that got into our cucumbers and our zucchini, and I did not have a single time, I can't say I didn't have raccoons, I did not have a single time where I found any evidence of raccoons. We did have evidence of rabbits a couple nights, and that's because I didn't plug the fence back in. So this poly-wired fencing with the fiberglass posts that you just step into the ground and you run the wire, hands down saved our garden over and over again from pests like rabbits and raccoons, but also our chickens, and now probably the dog, who hasn't touched it yet, but I'm sure will when we're out here. So yeah, those would be the definite things I would do and maybe not do again. I'm excited to share with you guys our fall garden when that really gets going. We've got, like I said, beans. We did a row of lettuce. We did radishes. We did golden beets. What else did we do? Oh, broccoli and cauliflower. So the beans all look great. We may have to replant everything else, but we'll see how that goes in the next week or so, and we'll give you guys an update. As far as homestead type updates, the pigs leave in 2 days for freezer camp. Their butcher date is Tuesday and it's Sunday, so they're going to be feeding our family well, and a couple of friends that purchased some from us. I'm really excited about it. We're also pretty sad. We really like having pigs here. I think next year we're going to try and get a breeding pair and a feeder set, and then see what we can do to make it a little bit more sustainable on ourselves. Feeder pigs are getting hard to find around here in springtime, and the cost of them is going up greatly. So I think we're going to try and get into that next year after we get some work done on housing for them and those type of things. And then the turkeys, a couple of them will be going to butcher in about a week and a half. We're going to do the bigger toms. We have Cornish cross chickens coming, 115 of those towards the end of the month for our second round of chickens, plus some that are being sold to friends and family. And then I think that about wraps up our year. Our breast chickens should be laying very soon, which is exciting because then we'll have hatching eggs, both for us and for sale. Our copper marins should be laying very soon as well, and that will be the same, hatching eggs for us and to sell. And then our layers, they're going on, this will be year 2, so year 3. So next year we'll probably bring in some new blood for the layers just to get some fresh layers in here. But otherwise, that's about all we have for updates. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.